The Galaxy Council's main shipyard burned. Captain Yuri watched the flames from the bridge of her battleship, the Iron Wolf, and felt grim satisfaction. This was the heart of the Council's military power. This was where they built the warships that had terrorized the galaxy for 1,000 years. And now it was gone. The attack had been brutal and perfect. 300 human ships had jumped into the system at the same time, surrounding the shipyard from every direction. The defending fleet had been caught completely off guard. They had expected an attack from one direction. Instead, attacks came from everywhere at once. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Council had lost 200 warships and the largest shipyard in the galaxy. The humans had lost 40 ships. It was a painful price, but the result was worth it. All surviving enemy vessels are retreating, Lieutenant Taiho reported. He was young, only 28, but he had proven himself in a dozen battles. Should we pursue? Yuri shook her head. No, let them run. Let them tell everyone what happened here. Fear is a weapon too. She turned to her communications officer. Open a channel, broadcast on all frequencies. I want every being in this sector to hear this. The officer nodded and pressed some buttons. Channel open, Captain. Yuri stood straight and spoke clearly. Her words would be heard by billions of aliens across Council space. This is Captain Yuri of the human fleet. We did not start this war. Your Council threatened our home. Your Council promised to destroy our species. We gave you a chance to walk away. You refused. She paused, letting her words sink in. Now you will learn what happens when you threaten humanity. We do not forgive, we do not forget, and we do not stop. Every world that supports the Council will see our ships. Every fleet that stands against us will burn. This is not revenge. This is justice. She ended the broadcast and sat down in her chair. Taiho looked at her with concern. Captain, that was a strong message. The Council will be furious. Good, Yuri said. I want them furious. Angry enemies make mistakes. And we need them to make mistakes. The Iron Wolf and its fleet jumped away before Council reinforcements could arrive. They left behind a graveyard of broken ships and a message that echoed across the stars. Humanity was coming, and nothing could stop them. Back at the Council's capital, High Lord Kath received the news of the shipyard's destruction. He listened to Captain Yuri's broadcast, and for the first time in his long life, he felt true fear. The other Council leaders demanded action. They wanted to send every ship they had to Earth and destroy it. But Kath knew that was exactly what the humans wanted. If the Council's fleet left their Tori, the humans would attack from behind. They would destroy more stations, more shipyards, more supply lines. The Council would win the battle for Earth, but lose their entire empire. We cannot fight like this, Kath said to his advisors. These humans do not play by the rules. They do not fight fair. They attack where we are weak and run when we are strong. We need a new strategy. But no one had a new strategy. The Council had always won by overwhelming force. They had never faced an enemy who could move faster than them, strike harder than them, and disappear before they could respond. While the Council debated, humanity pressed its advantage. Commander Hannah led raids on 3 more military bases. Captain Jiho's special forces captured 2 Council admirals who revealed even more secrets. Pilot Somi destroyed an entire squadron of enemy fighters in a single battle. And Admiral Doan coordinated everything from Moonbase, turning chaos into a carefully planned campaign. The war had been going for 3 months now. In that time, the Council had lost nearly 1,000 ships. Their supply lines were in ruins. Their citizens were afraid to travel between stars. And their mighty empire, which had seemed invincible, was starting to crack. On Earth, the mood was cautiously hopeful. People watched the news and cheered when they heard about human victories. They cried when they heard about human losses. They worked in factories day and night to build more ships, more weapons, more supplies. The whole planet was united in a way it had never been before. Admiral Dohan gave a speech to the people of Earth. He stood in front of a camera and spoke from his heart. 3 months ago, the Galaxy Council told us to surrender or die. They thought we would be easy prey. They thought we would bow down and accept our fate. But they forgot something important. They forgot that humans never give up. He looked directly at the camera. Our soldiers are fighting across the galaxy right now. They are brave. They are strong. They are making the Council regret the day they threatened us. But they cannot win alone. They need your support. They need your prayers. They need you to keep believing that we can do this. His voice became stronger. The Council has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. They have crushed every species that challenged them. But they have never faced anything like us. They have never faced a species that refuses to accept defeat. They have never faced humanity. The speech was broadcast across the solar system and beyond. Human soldiers watched it on their ships and felt their spirits lift. Even some aliens, species that had been conquered by the Council long ago, watched and began to hope that maybe, just maybe, someone could finally stop the Council's tyranny. Captain Yuri received the speech on her ship and smiled. Dohan was right. Humanity was different. Other species fought to win. Humans fought to survive. And nothing made humans more dangerous than fighting for survival. Her next target was the Council's communication hub, a massive station that connected every part of their empire. Destroying it would blind the Council, making it impossible for them to coordinate their forces. It was heavily defended, but Yuri had a plan. "Lieutenant Taiho," she said, "prepare the fleet for jump. We attack in 2 hours." Taiho nodded and began giving orders. The crew of the Iron Wolf moved with practiced efficiency. They had done this many times now. They were not scared anymore. They were confident. 2 hours later, the human fleet appeared around the communication hub. As expected, a large Council fleet was waiting for them. But Yuri had anticipated this. She had sent Captain Jiho and his special forces ahead in a stealth ship. They were already inside the station, planting explosives. The space battle began. Human ships and alien ships exchanged fire. The void filled with light and death. Both sides took losses. But while the aliens focused on the battle, Jiho's team worked silently inside the station. "Charges planted," Jiho reported. "Ready to detonate on your command." Yuri waited. She needed the timing to be perfect. The alien fleet was pushing hard, trying to overwhelm her ships with numbers. She let them think they were winning. She let them come closer. "Now," she said. The communication hub exploded from the inside. The blast was massive, bigger than anything the aliens expected. The shockwave damaged their own ships, causing confusion and chaos. And in that moment of chaos, Yuri's fleet struck hard. The battle turned into a massacre. Alien ships, unable to coordinate without their communication hub, fought alone and died alone. When it was over, the human fleet had destroyed another 100 enemy vessels and the most important station in Council space. Yuri opened another broadcast. "To the Galaxy Council, you are running out of ships. You are running out of stations. You are running out of time. Surrender now, and this can end peacefully. Continue fighting, and we will take everything you have." She did not expect them to surrender, but she wanted them to know that they could. She wanted them to know that humanity was not trying to destroy them. Humanity was trying to survive. And if the Council would simply leave them alone, the war could end. But High Lord Keth was not ready to surrender. His pride would not allow it. He gathered every remaining ship in his empire and prepared for one final battle. He would take the fight to Earth itself. He would destroy the human homeworld, or die trying. The final battle was coming, and the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. On the bridge of the Storm Dragon, Commander Hana received intelligence about the Council's plan. A fleet of 8,000 ships was gathering. They would attack Earth in 2 weeks. She looked at her officers. They are coming for our home. They think they can end this with one big strike. But they are wrong. We are going to meet them. We are going to stop them. And we are going to show them that Earth is not a planet you can threaten and survive. Her crew cheered. They were ready. After months of fighting, after watching their friends die, after sacrificing everything, they were ready for the final battle. Humanity was not going to hide. Humanity was not going to run. Humanity was going to stand and fight. And the galaxy was about to see what that truly meant. Captain Jiho moved through the dark corridors of the alien space station with his team of 12 soldiers. They wore special suits that made them almost invisible. They carried weapons that made no sound. And they had a mission that would change the course of the war. The station was called Station Prime. It was the main supply hub for the Council's invasion fleet. Thousands of alien workers lived here, loading ships with food, fuel, and weapons. If Station Prime fell, the Council's attack on Earth would have to wait months while they found new supplies. Jiho's job was to make sure Station Prime fell. Team 2. Report. He whispered into his communicator. A woman's voice answered. Team 2 in position. We are at the reactor room, ready to plant charges. Team 3? Another voice, this one a man. Team 3 at the communication center. All guards neutralized. We are ready. Jiho nodded, even though no one could see him. His soldiers were the best in the human military. They had trained for years in secret bases on Mars. They knew how to move without being seen. They knew how to fight without making noise. And they knew that failure meant death, not just for themselves, but for everyone on Earth. Begin operation, Jiho ordered. We have 15 minutes before the patrol ships return. Make them count. Across the station, human soldiers went to work. Team 2 planted explosives on the main reactor. Team 3 took control of the communication systems so no distress signal could be sent. And Jiho's team moved toward the most important target, the station. Commander's office. The commander of Station Prime was a high-ranking council official named Lord Meth. He had information about the council's battle plans. Admiral Doan wanted that information, and Jiho was going to get it. 2 guards stood outside the commander's office. They were large creatures, covered in scales, with 4 arms and eyes that could see in the dark. They thought they were safe. They thought no enemy could ever reach this deep into council territory. They were wrong. Jiho's soldiers moved like shadows. 2 quiet shots, and the guards fell without making a sound. Jiho stepped over their bodies and opened the door to the office. Lord Meth was sitting at his desk, reading reports. He looked up when Jiho entered, and his alien face twisted with confusion. He had never seen a human before. He did not understand what he was looking at. What are you? He asked. Jiho pointed his weapon at the alien's head. I am your worst nightmare. I am a human. And you are going to tell me everything I want to know. The interrogation was quick. Lord Meth was not brave. He talked as soon as he understood that Jiho was not joking. He revealed the location of the Council's main fleet. He revealed their attack plans. He revealed the names of every admiral and the weakness of every ship. When Jiho had all the information he needed, he thanked the alien politely. Then he knocked him unconscious and left him tied to his chair. Killing an unarmed prisoner was not something humans did. At least, not soldiers like Jiho. All teams, mission complete, Jiho announced. Return to extraction point. We leave in 5 minutes. The human soldiers moved quickly through the station. They passed hundreds of aliens who had no idea what was happening. They reached their hidden shuttle and climbed aboard. And then they flew away into the darkness of space. 3 minutes later, Station Prime exploded. The reactor charges went off first, creating a chain reaction that tore the station apart. Thousands of tons of supplies were destroyed in an instant. The Council's invasion fleet would have to wait. Earth had bought more time, while Jiho and his team celebrated their success. Another human was fighting a different kind of battle. Pilot Somi was alone in her fighter ship, flying through an asteroid field at impossible speeds. Behind her, 12 alien fighters were trying to kill her. They had been chasing her for 20 minutes, and they were getting frustrated. Somi was the best pilot in the human fleet. Some said she was the best pilot in the galaxy. She had grown up racing ships through the dangerous canyons of Mars. She had learned to fly before she learned to walk. And she had never lost a fight. "Come on, you ugly things," she muttered to herself. "Try to keep up." She spun her ship sideways and flew through a gap between two asteroids that was barely wider than her wings. Two of the alien fighters tried to follow her. They crashed into the rocks and exploded. 10 left, Somi counted. She pulled up hard and flew in a loop that should have been impossible. The gravity forces would have killed most pilots. But Somi was not most pilots. She had trained her body to handle forces that would break normal humans. When she came out of the loop, she was behind the alien fighters instead of in front of them. They did not realize what had happened until her weapons started firing. 3 more fighters exploded. 7 left. The alien pilots tried to scatter, but Somi was too fast. She hunted them one by one, using the asteroids as cover, appearing from unexpected angles, always staying one step ahead. When the last alien fighter exploded, she had not taken a single hit. "Area clear," she reported to the fleet. "I am returning to the Storm Dragon." Commander Hana's voice came through her communicator. "Excellent work, Somi. You saved our scouts. We owe you one." Somi smiled. "You can pay me back by winning this war, Commander." Back on Earth, people were starting to hear stories about the war. The government tried to keep things secret, but rumors spread fast. People talked about Captain Jiho and his ghost soldiers who could appear anywhere. They talked about Pilot Somi, who could not be shot down. They talked about Commander Hana, who had destroyed the enemy flagship on the first day of the war. These stories gave people hope. They showed that humanity was not helpless. They showed that ordinary humans could become heroes. In the Council's territory, different stories were spreading. Aliens whispered about the human monsters who attacked without warning. They talked about ships that appeared from nowhere. They talked about soldiers who walked through walls. Fear began to grow among the Council's citizens. The Council leaders tried to stop the fear. They told their people that the humans were weak and would soon be destroyed. But the fear kept growing. Too many ships had been lost. Too many stations had been attacked. The humans were everywhere and nowhere, striking like ghosts and vanishing like smoke. High Lord Keth called another emergency meeting. His fellow rulers were angry and scared. They demanded answers. They demanded victory. "Where is this human fleet?" One of them asked. "Why can we not find them and destroy them?" Keth did not have a good answer. His intelligence officers had failed. His admirals had failed. Every time they thought they knew where the humans were somewhere else. "They have technology we do not understand," he admitted. "They can move faster than our ships. They can hide better than our sensors can detect. But we are still stronger. We still have more ships. We will find them and we will destroy them." But even as he spoke these words, Keth was not sure he believed them. The humans were not behaving like any species the Council had ever fought. Most species surrendered when they saw the Council's power. Most species begged for mercy. But the humans were not surrendering. They were not begging. They were attacking, and worst of all, they seemed to be enjoying it. On the bridge of the Storm Dragon, Commander Hana reviewed the reports from the past week. 23 enemy ships destroyed. 4 stations captured or destroyed. Hundreds of supply convoys intercepted. And human losses were still low, much lower than anyone had expected. "The Council is scared," she said to her officers. "I can see it in how they move their ships. They are becoming defensive. They are protecting their bases instead of attacking us. That is exactly what we want." Captain Junho nodded. "What is our next target, Commander?" Hannah pointed to a spot on her map. It was deep in Council territory, near the center of their empire. "Here, the Council's main shipyard. If we destroy it, they cannot build new warships. Their fleet will only get smaller while ours keeps growing. The attack would be dangerous." The shipyard was heavily defended. But Hannah had a plan. She always had a plan. "Send a message to Admiral Dohan," she ordered. "Tell him we are going hunting. And tell him to watch the news from Council Space. It is about to get very interesting." The Storm Dragon and its fleet vanished into another jump. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Council shipyard was about to have a very bad day. And somewhere else, High Lord Keth was starting to realize that he had made the biggest mistake in Council history. He had not invaded Earth. He had awakened something that should have been left alone. He had awakened humanity's will to survive. And nothing in the universe was more dangerous than that. Commander Hana sat in the pilot's seat of her battleship, the Storm Dragon. Around her, 50 human warships waited in the darkness between asteroids. They had been hiding here for 6 hours, completely silent, completely still. Their engines were cold. Their weapons were offline. To any scanner, they looked like dead rocks floating in space. But they were not dead. They were waiting. Hannah checked her display one more time. The Galaxy Council's advanced fleet was coming. 23 alien warships, led by the massive flagship called the Divine Light. The aliens thought they were making a simple patrol. They thought they were checking on the weak little humans before the main invasion began. They had no idea what was waiting for them. "All ships," Hana whispered into her communicator, "weapons hot in 30 seconds. Remember your targets. Remember your training. And remember why we fight." She thought about her family back on Earth. Her mother lived in a small town near the mountains. Her younger brother was studying to be a doctor. They were counting on her. Everyone on Earth was counting on her. The alien fleet came closer. Hannah could see the Divine Light now through her window. It was huge, almost 3 kilometers long. Its hull was covered with golden symbols that the aliens considered holy. They believed their gods protected them. They believed no primitive species could ever challenge them. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Now, Hana said 50 human warships came alive at the same moment. Engines roared to life. Weapon systems powered up. And then the missiles flew. The first wave of missiles was designed to blind. They exploded near the alien ships and released clouds of metal particles that confused their sensors. For 30 precious seconds, the aliens could not see anything. They did not know where the attack was coming from. They did not know how many enemies they faced. Those 30 seconds were enough. Hannah pushed her ship forward at maximum speed. The Storm Dragon dove toward the Divine Light like a hawk attacking a snake. Behind her, the rest of the human fleet spread out and chose their targets. Every captain knew exactly what to do. They've practiced this attack 1,000 times in secret simulations. The aliens finally cleared their sensors and saw what was happening. But it was too late. Human ships were already among them, too close for their big weapons to work. The aliens had built their fleet to fight from long range. They had never expected anyone to charge directly at them. Hannah fired everything she had at the Divine Light, Plasma cannons tore holes in its golden hull. Missiles exploded against its engine section. The great flagship shuddered and began to burn. On the bridge of the Divine Light, Admiral Vaughn could not believe what he was seeing. He was a veteran of 40 wars. He had destroyed entire civilizations. And now, these humans, these primitive creatures who had barely left their own planet, were tearing his fleet apart. "Return fire!" He screamed at his crew. "Destroy them all." But his crew was in chaos. The human attack had been too fast, too violent. Officers ran in every direction. Damage reports flooded in from every part of the ship. The Divine Light was dying, and everyone on board knew it. Hana saw her chance. She flew the Storm Dragon directly toward the flagship's bridge. At the last second, she fired a special torpedo, one that human scientists had spent 20 years developing. It punched through the Divine Light's shields like they were made of paper. The explosion was beautiful and terrible. The bridge of the Divine Light vanished in white fire. Admiral Vaughn and all his officers died in an instant. The great flagship went dark and began to drift, a dead giant floating in space. The other alien ships tried to run. They had come here expecting easy prey. Instead, they had found a nightmare. Human ships chased them through the asteroid field, hunting them like wolves hunting deer. One by one, the alien vessels were destroyed. When the battle ended, 22 alien warships were gone. Only one small scout ship escaped, damaged and barely able to fly. Hannah let it go on purpose. She wanted it to carry a message back to the Galaxy Council. The human fleet gathered around the wreckage of the Divine Light. Hannah looked at the destruction and felt no joy. War was never something to celebrate. But she felt satisfaction. They had proven that humanity could fight. They had proven that the Council was not invincible. "All ships, report casualties," she ordered. The reports came in. 3 human ships destroyed. 218 soldiers dead. It was a high price, but it was much lower than anyone had expected. Against a force of 23 advanced alien warships, they had won with only 3 losses. Back on Moonbase, Admiral Dawn received the news. He closed his eyes for a moment and thought about the soldiers who had died. Every death was a tragedy. Every death was a sacrifice. He would remember their names forever, but he could not stop to mourn. The war had only just begun. "Send a message to all human forces," he ordered. "Operation Silent Thunder is a success. Phase 2 begins immediately. We are taking the fight to the enemy." Across the solar system, human ships began to move. They emerged from hidden bases on moons and asteroids. They left secret stations buried under the ice of distant planets. For the first time in history, humanity was not defending. Humanity was attacking. The Galaxy Council received the news of their fleet's destruction with shock and horror. The 12 alien races held an emergency meeting. Some demanded immediate revenge. Others wanted to negotiate. But all of them felt something they had not felt in 1,000 years: fear. The leader of the council, a tall creature named High Lord Keth, spoke to his fellow rulers. "We have made an error," he admitted. "These humans are more dangerous than we believed. But do not worry. We have 10,000 warships. They have only a few hundred. We will crush them with numbers. We will burn their planet. We will erase them from existence." The other council members agreed. They began gathering the largest fleet in galactic history. They called in ships from every corner of their empire. They would attack Earth with overwhelming force. No species could survive against such power. But while the council made their plans, humanity was not waiting. Commander Hannah led her fleet deeper into alien territory. They attacked supply stations. They destroyed communication relays. They hit targets that the council thought were safe, targets thousands of light years from Earth. The aliens could not understand how humans were doing this. Human ships were supposed to be slow. Human technology was supposed to be primitive. But these human vessels appeared from nowhere, struck without warning, and vanished before anyone could respond. The secret was something human scientists called jump drives. The Council used wormhole gates to travel between stars. These gates were fixed in place and easy to predict. But humans had developed something different. Their jump drives could create temporary wormholes anywhere. A human ship could be at Earth one moment, and behind enemy lines the next dot. It was technology that changed everything. And the Council had no idea it existed. Hana stood on the bridge of the Storm Dragon and looked at a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked all the places where human ships had attacked in the past week. There were dozens of them, spread across Council space like a plague. Her second officer, a serious man named Junho, stood beside her. "Commander, the Council is gathering a massive fleet near the Orion sector. Our scouts estimate 10,000 ships." Hana nodded. She had expected this. They want to end the war with one big battle. They think if they destroy our fleet, Earth will surrender. "Will we fight them?" Junho asked. Hana smiled. It was not a kind smile. "We will do something better. We will make them chase us. We will make them spread out. We will make them tired and scared. And then, when they are weak, we will strike." She turned to her crew. "Set course for the next target. The Council thinks this war will be quick. We are going to show them that it has only just begun." The Storm Dragon vanished into a flash of light, jumping to another corner of the galaxy. Behind them, the wreckage of the Divine Light still floated in space, a warning to anyone who thought humanity would be easy to destroy. The hunt was on, and humanity was not the prey. Admiral Dawn stood at the window of his office on the moonbase. He watched Earth hanging in the black sky like a blue jewel. It was beautiful. It was home. And today, someone was threatening to destroy it. The message had arrived 3 hours ago. It came from the Galaxy Council, a group of 12 alien races who controlled most of the known universe. They called themselves the rulers of all intelligent life. For 200 years, they had watched humanity grow. They had watched humans build their first space stations, their first moon colonies, their first ships that could travel between stars. And now, they decided the humans were becoming too strong. Dolan read the message again on his tablet. The words were cold and simple. "The Galaxy Council demands that Earth surrender all military vessels, all weapons, and all mining rights to planets in your solar system. You have 30 days to comply. If you refuse, we will destroy your species. This is not a negotiation. This is your only warning." He put down the tablet and laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of a man who had spent 40 years preparing for this exact moment. The door opened behind him. His aide, a young woman named Bora, walked in with more reports. She was nervous. Everyone on the base was nervous. Word had spread fast about the Council's message. "Sir," Bora said, "the President is calling. All world leaders are meeting in 1 hour. They want you there." Dawn nodded. "Tell them I will attend. But first, send the message to Admiral Taiho at the Mars Fleet. Tell him to begin Operation Silent Thunder." Bora's eyes went wide. Everyone in the military knew about Silent Thunder. It was the secret plan that nobody believed would ever be used. It was humanity's answer to an alien invasion. "Sir, are you sure?" she asked. "I am sure," Dawn said. "The Council thinks we are weak. They think we are primitive. They have made a very big mistake." 1 hour later, Dohan stood in a virtual meeting room with the leaders of every nation on Earth. Their faces floated on screens around him. Some looked scared. Some looked angry. The President of the United States spoke first. Admiral Dawn, you have read the message. What is your recommendation? Dawn stood straight and spoke clearly. My recommendation is that we tell the Galaxy Council to go to hell. There was silence. Then the Prime Minister of Korea, a stern woman named Yoonji, leaned forward. Admiral, they have thousands of warships. They have weapons we cannot even understand. How can we fight them? Dawn smiled. Prime Minister, with great respect, you are wrong. We can understand their weapons. We have studied them for decades. We have captured their scouts. We have taken apart their technology. And we have built something better. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a massive fleet of ships hidden inside asteroids throughout the solar system. There were hundreds of them. They were sleek and dark and covered with weapons. For 60 years, Dohon explained, we have been building in secret. We knew this day would come. The Council has spies everywhere, but they never found our hidden bases. They never found our ships. They think humanity has 50 small patrol vessels. They are wrong. We have 400 warships, each one designed to kill. The leaders stared at the hologram. Hope began to replace fear on their faces. The president spoke again. Even with these ships, can we win? Do-hong thought about the question carefully. Winning is not guaranteed. War never is. But losing? That is not an option. The Council does not want our resources. They want us gone. If we surrender, they will take everything and then destroy us anyway. I have read their history. They have done this to 11 other species. They smile while they kill. Prime Minister Yoonji nodded slowly. Then we fight. One by one, every leader in the room agreed. Humanity would not surrender. Humanity would not beg. Humanity would show the galaxy what happened when you threatened Earth. Dohan returned to Moonbase and began giving orders. Messages flew across the solar system. Hidden bases came alive. Pilots who had trained in secret for years finally learned that their training was real. Engineers powered up engines that had never been tested in battle. Soldiers checked their weapons and said goodbye to their families dotting the asteroid belt. Admiral Taiho received his orders aboard the battleship Fury. He was an old friend of Dawn. They had served together for 30 years. Taiho gathered his officers in the command room and told them the news. The Council wants war, he said. We will give them one, but not the war they expect. They think they will come to Earth and find easy targets. Instead, we will go to them. We will hit them first. We will hit them hard. And we will not stop until they are running. His officers cheered. They were scared, but they were also ready. Humans had always been good at one thing above all else: surviving. They had survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. They would survive this too. On Earth, ordinary people watched the news and learned that aliens had threatened their planet. There was fear at first, but then something strange happened. People stopped being afraid. They became angry. Factories that made cars started making weapons. Scientists who studied medicine started studying alien biology. Children wrote letters to soldiers telling them to be brave. The whole planet united in a way it never had before. Old enemies became friends. Old arguments were forgotten. There was only one goal now: survival. Doan watched all of this from his office. He felt proud of his species. Humans were strange creatures. They fought each other constantly. They argued about everything. But when an outside threat appeared, they came together like nothing else in the universe. He picked up his communicator and called Commander Hana, the woman who would lead the first attack. She was young, only 35, but she was the best pilot and tactician humanity had ever produced. "Commander," Dawn said, "are you ready?" Her voice came back strong and clear. "I was born ready, Admiral." Just give me the word." "The word is given," Dohan said. "Show the Council what humans can do." The first battle of the Great War was about to begin. The Galaxy Council had made their demands. They expected fear. They expected surrender. Instead, they were about to learn a lesson that would echo across the stars for 1,000 years. Humanity did not bow. Humanity did not break. And when humanity fought, the universe itself trembled. The final battle began at dawn, Earth time. 8,000 Council warships jumped into the solar system, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. High Lord Keth himself commanded from his new flagship, the Divine Vengeance. He had come to personally watch humanity die, but humanity was waiting. Admiral Dohan stood on the bridge of his command ship, the Earth's shield. Around him, 600 human warships formed a wall between the enemy and Earth. It was not enough to match the Council's numbers. But numbers were not everything. "All ships," Dohan said calmly. "This is the day we were born for. Behind us is Earth. Behind us are our families, our children, our future. We do not retreat. We do not surrender. We fight until we win or until we are all dead. There is no other option." Commander Hannah's voice came through the communicator. "Admiral, the Storm Dragon is ready. All attack groups are in position. Captain Yuri? Iron Wolf standing by. My crew is hungry for a fight. Captain Jiho? Special Forces teams are ready. We have some surprises for the Council." Dohan nodded. He had the best people in the galaxy. And today, they would prove it. Begin the operation. The human fleet surged forward. But they did not attack the main Council force. Instead, they split into dozens of smaller groups and scattered in every direction. The Council admirals were confused. This was not how battles were supposed to be fought. Fleets were supposed to line up and shoot at each other. But humans did not fight the way they were supposed to. The smaller human groups attacked from unexpected angles. They hit the edges of the Council fleet, damaged a few ships, and disappeared before the aliens could respond. Then they appeared somewhere else and did it again. And again. And again. High Lord Keth watched this with growing frustration. Why will they not stand and fight like civilized beings? His admiral shook his head. They are not civilized, High Lord. They are humans. The battle stretched on for hours. The Council fleet pushed toward Earth, but every step cost them ships. Human forces harassed them constantly, never giving them a moment of rest. The alien crews were tired. The alien commanders were frustrated. And slowly, their formation began to break apart. That was when Dohan sprung his trap. All ships, execute Formation Alpha. Attack the center. The scattered human groups suddenly came together again. They formed into a single spear of ships and drove directly into the middle of the Council fleet. The aliens were spread out, weakened by hours of harassment. They could not reform fast enough. The Storm Dragon led the charge. Commander Hannah pushed her ship forward at maximum speed, firing every weapon she had. Around her, human warships followed, creating a path of destruction through the enemy formation. The Divine Vengeance was at the center. High Lord Keth saw the human ships coming directly for him. For the first time in his life, he felt real fear. Not because he might die, but because he realized he had already lost. He had underestimated the humans. He had thought they were primitive. He had thought they would be easy to destroy. And now his entire fleet was falling apart around him. Retreat, he ordered. All ships retreat. But it was too late. Human forces had cut the Council fleet in half. Ships that tried to retreat were hunted down by Captain Yuri and her wolves. Ships that tried to fight were overwhelmed by concentrated attacks. The greatest fleet in galactic history was dying. Captain Jiho's special forces boarded the Divine Vengeance. They fought through corridors filled with alien soldiers. They pushed forward despite taking losses. And finally, they reached the bridge. High Lord Keth stood there with a weapon in his hand. He was the last of his guards. All the others were dead or fleeing. He looked at Jiho with hatred and fear. "You have doomed yourselves," Keth said. "Even if you win today, other species will rise against you. You have shown the galaxy that the Council can be defeated. Everyone will want to challenge you now." Jiho shook his head. "No, we have shown the galaxy that tyranny can be defeated. We have shown that the weak can stand up to the strong. And we have shown that humanity will never bow to anyone." He raised his weapon. "Surrender, High Lord. Your fleet is destroyed. Your empire is broken. This war is over." Keth dropped his weapon. He had no choice. The battle outside was ending. Of the 8,000 ships he had brought to Earth, less than 2,000 remained. And those were surrendering or running as fast as they could. The final battle was over. Humanity had won. 3 months later, the galaxy looked very different. The Galaxy Council had dissolved. The 12 alien races that had ruled together for 1,000 years now ruled nothing. Some had begged for peace treaties with humanity. Others had fled to the edges of the galaxy. None of them would threaten Earth again. Admiral Dolan stood on the surface of the moon and watched a parade of human ships pass by. There were over 1,000 of them now. New ships joined the fleet every week. Factories on Earth and Mars were building at full speed. Prime Minister Yoonji stood beside him. She had aged a lot during the war. Leading a planet through its darkest hour had taken a toll. But she was smiling now. "We did it," she said. "We actually did it." "We did," Doan agreed. "But now comes the hard part. We are not just defending our home anymore. We are the most powerful force in the galaxy. Everyone is watching us. Everyone is waiting to see what we will do with that power." Yoonji nodded. "What do you think we should do?" Dahan was silent for a long moment. He thought about all the species the Council had conquered over the centuries. He thought about the billions of beings who had lived under tyranny. He thought about what kind of galaxy humanity wanted to live in. "The Council ruled through fear," he finally said. "They took what they wanted and destroyed anyone who resisted. We cannot be like them. We need to be better." He pointed to the stars. "Out there are thousands of species who were oppressed by the Council. Some of them helped us during the war, secretly giving us information and supplies. We owe them. We need to help them rebuild. We need to show the galaxy that there is another way to be strong, a way that includes fairness, cooperation, and respect." Yoonji smiled. "That sounds nice, but it also sounds hard." "It will be the hardest thing humanity has ever done," Dahan admitted. "Winning the war was easy compared to building peace. But I believe we can do it. I believe in our species. We are stubborn and crazy, and sometimes we fight each other. But when we come together, we can do anything." On Earth, people celebrated their victory. There were parades in every city. People danced in the streets. Children waved flags and dreamed of becoming pilots like Somi or soldiers like Jiho. It was the happiest day in human history. But even as they celebrated, the heroes of the war were already thinking about the future. Commander Hana took the Storm Dragon on a mission to liberate a species that had been enslaved by the Council for centuries. Captain Yuri escorted supply ships to planets that were starving. Captain Jiho trained soldiers from other species who wanted to defend their own homes. And Pilot Somi taught young pilots from across the galaxy how to fly like humans. They were not conquerors. They were liberators. And wherever they went, they carried the same message. The galaxy was free now. The tyranny was over. A new era had begun. 5 years after the war ended, Admiral Don gave one final speech before retiring. He stood in front of the new Galactic Assembly, a council of hundreds of species who now worked together in peace. Behind him hung a flag that showed Earth surrounded by stars. 5 years ago, he said, the Galaxy Council told humanity to surrender or die. They did not know what they were starting. They did not know that humans never give up. They did not know that threatening our home would unite us like nothing else ever had. He looked at the alien ambassadors who had once been enemies and were now allies. We could have become the new rulers of the galaxy. We could have taken the Council's place and ruled through force. But that is not who we are. We fought for survival. We fought for freedom. And now we fight for something even more important. A galaxy where every species can live without fear. He smiled. Humanity is not perfect. We make mistakes. We argue with each other constantly. But we also dream. We dream of a universe where all beings are treated with dignity. And we will never stop working toward that dream. That is what it means to be human. The assembly erupted in cheers. Aliens and humans together celebrated the new age they were building. Outside, the stars shone bright, no longer symbols of threat and conquest, but of hope and possibility. The war was over. The Galaxy Council was gone. And humanity had taken its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as guardians. The galaxy learned an important lesson during those terrible months of war. You can threaten many things and survive, but you should never, ever threaten humanity, because humans do not know how to quit. They do not know how to surrender. They do not know how to accept defeat. They only know how to win. And now, the entire galaxy was glad they did.